in some ways, it's not surprising that Maajid was involved in that period, and the sort of 9/11, and galvanized by things. His own story of his progress to sort of political activism and extremism was that Maajid was clearly at that time a searcher. He was not exactly unheard of for a young man, fired up with fervor and righteous indignation, sometimes justified, largely not. It's not surprising that Maajid would have thrown himself into the debate of that time. It's somewhat more surprising in a way that a neuroscientist on the west coast of America with, I think, an interest in meditation and other strange hobbies would have ended up in this. And I think that's sort of more surprising in a way, like seeing a great tussle and walking past the pacifists or throwing yourself into the middle of it. I mean, Sam seems a much more surprising figure to have spent so much of his time engaged in this debate. But I mean, it's the debate that everybody has been engaged in to some extent for more than a decade and a half now. As I've often said, if you said to somebody in the 1990s that the early years of the 21st century will be spent quarreling about religion and talking about blasphemy codes and things, you'd have thought, what the hell? How did the Spanish Inquisition get back? Nobody would have thought we'd spend all these years talking about Islam, which was, I'm sure for Sam, as for most other people, something which, wasn't our religion. Didn't seem any more likely we were going to spend our time having to read all this stuff than if you told me today that, the next decade would be spent reading the foundational texts of Scientology. I think, well, I wouldn't look forward to the future anyway.